Welcome to this video. In this video, we discuss on the dimensions of transnationalism. Transnationalism, as we have already seen, is a process by which individuals and groups retain and develop social, economic, and political ties across international borders. It's not a one-way process. It affects almost all aspects of life. It is multi-dimensional concepts and process. Means it has so many dimensions. So let's have a look on the various dimensions of transnationalism. First is social dimension. Transnational networks and players, they actually reshape social interactions and identities on global scale. This is very important aspect because these networks, especially at the present time, with the availability of ICT-based technology, ICT-based platforms, the networks, the transnational networks reshape our social relationships in a completely different way. This dimension has a variety of crucial traits. First is transnational migration. Transnational migration is a major trait of transnationalism. In fact, the concept transnationalism itself evolved out of transnational migration because it is primarily the relationship maintained by the migrants with their host society. The people cross national borders, usually in search of economic, social, and political possibilities. There are several types of migration happening, including forced and voluntary migration. But all these types of migrations are primarily economic, social, or political purposes. Next is transnational social networks. There are several types of transnational social networks. The transnational networks of family, kinship network is there because migration results in the severing of kinship relationships and familial relationships. So it's quite often the maintaining of transnational family relationships. Another is professional networks. Transnational social networks is also constituted by professional networks. Yet another example is that of community-based organizations. They also are significant in maintaining transnationalism. They are also significant in maintaining transnational relationships and transnationalism. All these kinds of networks, the network of friends, the network of families, the professional networks, the community-based organizations, network of community-based organizations, all these offer social support and a sense of community. All these make the entire universe a well-knit community. So that's why we say about today the entire world has become a global village. That shows that the phrase shows the significance of relationships, transnational relationships made possible by the ICT and other technological innovations. Another aspect of transnationalism or another social aspect of transnationalism is the transnational social movements. These are the movements that focus on international issues, especially on economic fairness, environmental protection, and human rights. These kinds of issues are everywhere in the world and they are much discussed across the globe. And there are transnational actors, agents who are engaged in this kind of issues. So economic fairness, economic exploitation, economic inequality, all these are the focuses of international social movements or transnational social movements. Another aspect is, everybody knows, is environment. The environmental issues like global warming, art, pollution, all these are taken up by international agents, transnational social movements, social organizations, NGOs. And another major aspect is human rights. Even though many countries claim that the human rights violations happen within their borders or their internal matter, but they are now become the matters of international concern. So massive human rights violations are taken up by international organizations, international agents, and even other countries. All these movements rely on international social networks and thus involve cooperation between activists from various nations. The cross-border identities and social interactions are being shaped by international actors or international networks. And such kind of interactions often affect the international economic and political relations. Even the relationship between two nations may be affected by such kind of interactions. Another dimension is cultural dimensions. It's a major dimension of transnationalism. Cultural dimensions of transnationalism include formation of cultural norms, beliefs, identities, etc. across transnational borders. In fact, the cultural dimension of transnationalism includes a variety of traits or variety of aspects. One major aspect is cultural exchange, that is, cross-border sharing of culture and practices. Cultural exchange or transnational exchange of culture. We know today there's very easy dissemination of popular culture is happening across the globe. Culture of one country or one society is easily get transferred to other cultures, easily absorbed by other cultures. So cultures are not geocentric. They are across the world. They are accepted and disseminated. So is the case with consumer products, goods. Now a new product is consumed across the globe, and on the other way, the producers, the manufacturers, they are aiming at transnational consumers. They're not producing for a particular country or region alone. They produce for the people across the globe. And also, there is sharing of concepts, ideals, artistic expressions, and all that things. These things are also happening very easily. Another point to say about cultural dimension of transnationalism is cultural hybridity. Cultural hybridity means merging your several cultural traditions to produce new forms of cultural expressions. So different cultures meet together as a result of transnationalism or transnational networks and transnational relationships. This results in new forms of cultural expression, new forms of cultural artifacts. So this is visible in many forms. For example, mixing of various musical genres, a particular type of music that's originated in a particular point of space, maybe at a particular point of time, get disseminated, get diffused to other parts of the world over time, and become accepted across the globe. Another example can be having various culinary traditions, various food traditions merged together. So we have now a buzzword like fusion music, fusion food, fusion culinary, fusion cookery, all this because it involves the coming together of several forms of cultural traditions. So the creation of new forms of art, new forms of music, new forms of dance, new forms of food preparation, cookery, all these incorporate the components from several cultural traditions. So to live in a single cultural tradition is now a difficult task due to extreme level of transnationalism. And another aspect is visibility is transnational literary and artistic movements. There are several movements that focus on the themes and problems of cross-national boundaries. Collaborations between authors, collaborations between artists from various nations results in new form of transnational literary and artistic movements. This often results in the emergence of fresh artistic genres, fresh artistic styles. Another aspect of cultural dimension of transnationalism is cultural diasporas. These are the communities of people who share a common cultural heritage and maintain cultural connections across national borders. They establish cultural relationships across national borders. They provide a sense of belonging and identity for people who are separated from their cultural roots through migration or displacement. So there are cultural diasporas. They preserve the cultural identity of the home state, home society. Again, there's global popular culture. Transnationalism has led to the establishment of global popular culture. Global popular culture means cultural products and practices that are consumed and enjoyed around the world. We can have numerous examples that include music, film, television, fashion, sports, and also much familiar is the consumer products such as food, clothing, and the use of technology. These are widely diffused across the globe, forming a global popular culture. And another important aspect of dimension of transnationalism is the economic dimension. This is much powerful because this involves the transnational movement of capital, labor, goods, and services. This is having far greater impact on the international relations because it affects the economy of all the interconnected nations. There's free flow of capital by means of FDI, FII, foreign direct investment, foreign institutional investment, and so on. There's free movement of labor from one country to another, free flow of goods, the gadgets we use today, is the result of transnational movement of technology and technologically innovated products. The smartphones, the computers we use come from somewhere else. And the services available across. Google we use, Gmail we use. All the mail services are examples, living examples of transnationalism. Going close along with the economic dimension is the global business networks. There's close link between business houses. There's close link between investors and other economic actors across national boundaries. These networks facilitate the transnational economic activity. These today, such kind of global business networks today heavily rely on the ICT mediated platforms for their easy operations. Another visibility of transnational economic relationship is MNCs, multinational corporations. In fact, the economic transnationalism got boosted through MNCs, multinational corporations. They are having operations in several nations. They are spread over a variety of economic areas, including manufacturing, banking, technology, etc. Another economic aspect of transnationalism is transnational trade and investment. As I've told, foreign direct investment, development of international financial markets, expansion of global trade and in commodities and services, etc. There are global labor markets. That's the transnational economic activities lead to global labor markets. So now the employees have more flexibility to work anywhere. They can work anywhere in the world using internet and computer. There is massive outsourcing of works. The companies, the MNCs situated in a country can outsource their job to the people who are situated across anywhere in the world if they are connected through internet and computers. So the employees also benefit out of this. They have more flexibility to work anywhere, anytime. And there's migration, massive scale migration that happens at the global level that affects the regional job market. One example can be Kerala. When there is massive migration from Kerala to other countries, there's shortage of labor in the regional labor market. So to fill up these markets, people from other states come in. All these situations make the labor rights a problematic topic. There is increasing concern over labor rights and working conditions. Another effect of this is uneven development. Due to this interconnectivity and transnational relationships, especially transnational economic relations, certain regions and nations benefit more from global economic integration, while other areas are getting lesser benefit. Again, the transnational economic activity contributes to the escalation of global inequality, what we call as north-south divide. This divide is many times is often getting widened due to the transnational economic activities. Therefore, we need a justifiable methods of economic growth, justifiable ways of economic growth that ensures not only equality but even equity. Another major dimension of transnationalism is political dimension. There are transnational networks or communities that influence political institutions at a global level. A major aspect of political transnationalism is transnational governance. This means the establishment of international networks that coordinate the formulation of national and international policy. We know the best examples: the United Nations, the World Bank, the IMF, International Organization of Migration, UNICEF, UNESCO. All these are international networks established to coordinate the national and international policies. Apart from this, there are global networks of civil society organizations. So many civil society organizations are there. Organizations on environment, those concerned with human rights, those concerned with gender justice, and all these things. Another players are transnational advocacy networks. These are primarily the non-government organizations created for global policy and decision making. They influence policy through mobilization of public opinion. Yet another aspect is transnational political campaigns carried out by various agencies. There are several international agents who carry out campaigns for political causes. These campaigns affect the internal and global policies. Another dimension is environmental dimension. The transnational actors also involved in environmental issues across the nations that we call as transnational environmental activism. Transnational environmental activism is very rampant today. It means the mobilization of social movements or advocacy organizations to combat global environmental problems. There are a lot of global environmental problems. That means the problems that cut across national boundaries. Pollution is one of them. Deforestation is another global environmental issue. Climate change is a very important global environmental issue. So there are several transnational organizations, transnational movements that take up this cause. They lobby, they organize agitations, they carry out campaigns to address these issues, especially the issues of pollution and climate change. We have seen there are several dimensions in transnationalism. Social dimension is there, cultural dimension, economic dimension, political dimension, and environmental dimension. Today, the transnational engagements are more concerned about such kind of issues.